getting into our conversation for this hour, we're looking at the place of youthful leaders in the 2022 election. Our guest for this hour is Nairobi senatorial candidate, Engineer John OCHOTI is here with us in the studio. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana, good to have you in the room today.
Asante, happy to be here.
Great. You're in the hot seat and you're hot in terms of colors. We can see you fanning those Kanu colors. Good morning and welcome once again. So you are a Nairobi senatorial candidate
Yes.
holding the Kanu flag, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do and why you've made the decision to run for Nairobi Senator.
My name is John OCHOTI. Good morning. How are
Karibu
you?
sana John.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Yes. What I currently do, but I've taken a break since the campaigns period started. I'm in telecommunications. I'm an engineer by profession. And my last assignment was working with the Airtel networks. Yeah, before I joined politics. I'm involved in community empowerment programs. Yeah, especially focusing on the youth, mentoring the youth in the spaces of IT and their careers. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. Yes, yeah.
Why did you decide to make the jump into politics?
I'm not able to fully answer that question. It just came like a bug. I was bitten by it. Something came to my heart one morning, and I decided I'm going to join politics.
Have you ever taken an interest in politics in an earlier life?
Yes, of course I have.
How did
From
you?
my campus days. In fact, when I was in first year at the University of Nairobi, I tried my hand to represent the students of engineering.
How did
Yes.
that work out?
I did not win. I lost. I was a freshman. Yeah, and very new to politics at that time.
You sound as though you regret it.
No. Why?
I'm
I
saying
don't.
you sound, you're a fresh. I mean, the fact that you were able to venture, that in itself is a good thing.
Yeah. You said why? How did that one go? I was a
Yes.
freshman, and that's why I did not, fare very well. But it was a very good experience. Yeah?
What did you learn from it?
That it's a journey. Yeah, and also losing is part of the game. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So beyond that, now looking in politics towards gaining a seat
Okay.
nationally, at the county level, what other seats did you seek before this? Should I ask,
in national politics?
did you ever seek another seat before this senatorial candidacy?
No. It's my first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why go for the senator seat in the beginning?
There's a history to this, the Senate seat in this country. Remember, 2013, when we had the first set of senators at the Senate, that was the first election after the 2010 election. We had a lot of people.
27 election.
2013.
Okay. It was after the 2007.
After
2007.
the 2000s. Yes.
Yes.
Remember, there was a lot of people who were elected to the Senate at that point. They were, you can call them senior citizens. It was even being called Nyumba ya Wazee. And it's a house which has been abused. And if you're very keen to look at the occupants of the Senate, still demographically, it's been senior citizens, save for a few, like Sakaja, Sang, and the rest. Yeah, so it's an opportunity I saw as a young man to go to the Senate and, in fact, show the country that it's not Nyumba ya Wazee. It is a house that is supposed to enact laws, to provide the required oversight, to be able to represent the people of all cadres, be it women, be it the youth, be it Wazee. Yes.
The youth agenda has been peddled over and over again. In fact, some people think it's currency, or some people use it as currency to be able to essentially buy over support. Once you mention the youth agenda, in a campaign, somebody believes that, all right, you can buy their support by mentioning that.
By the way, I would just like to mention, Tim, before you answer the question, that you are right. If you look at the origins of what we know as the senators in ancient Roman times, it was actually a place for senior citizens.
Yes.
People who had done a lot, achieved a great deal.
Yes.
They're the ones who ended up in the Senate.
Yes.
So it's odd that in our time, that's what it appears to be. But also, remember, this wasn't the first Senate. The first Senate was 1963.
Yes, sure.
That's when we had the first Senate. And then it was abolished in 1966. And then in 2010, we had it again.
Yes.
Now answer her question about the youth agenda.
So
The youth agenda.
after having looked at that,
Yes.
and you're saying now, for the longest time, young people have been told, you must be involved in the governance and leadership of this nation. Unfortunately, it has been used as a tool not for good and not for involvement. Why do you think, obviously, because you're younger, why do you think that it is important to involve youth in governance and leadership? It may seem like an obvious answer, but I'd like to hear what you think.
You're right. The youth of this country have been misused largely. And it is assumed by many politicians that you can buy youth. You can hire them. You can have them as goons to aid your campaigns. And then you can have them as tools or voting machines. They are easier votes to get, if you may. My take, and this is where it pains me so much. I have been on the campaign trail last few months within Nairobi. In formal settlement areas, there's a lot of hopelessness among the youth. There's a lot of yearning for change of leadership among the youth. They want to participate more, not just as voting machines or as people who aid in the campaigns. They want to be a part of the governance structures of this country. They want their voices to be heard. And they're usually very excited. They tell me, Mheshimiwa, you look like you're one of us. And we really want you to go to the Senate. We want to give you a chance to go and represent us. It is unfortunate that a lot of politicians, they would like to misuse the youth to cause violence, for example. And in fact, yesterday I had a very bad incident at Kasarani. I was attacked by some group of hired goons while on the campaign trail. That's an issue for another time. The youth conversation has to change in this country because you hear in rallies, politicians on the clarion call is vijana mpo, vijana ria, and those sort of slogans. But beyond that, what is the role of a Kenyan youth? Kenyan youth is unemployed. Kenyan youth is mostly educated. A huge percentage of them have gone to school. They want proper jobs. They want to be a part of the economy, participate in building our nation. So as a society, we have to really look at this issue. We stop making it a political issue and address, because now if we address the challenges facing the youth, we are essentially securing our future as a country.
What would you say, in your opinion, is the age bracket of this group of people we refer to as the youth? Where does youth start from?
We have an official definition of between 18 and 35. But that's a definition, a mere definition. But according to me, youth starts anything after somebody exits primary school, they're in high school, transitioning to college.
That's the youth.
They become a youth, yeah.
So there's being youth and there's being youthful.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, that's true.
Would you say, for instance, that the leadership that we've had for the last 10 years was youthful?
There has been a lot of progress made in terms of involving the youth or having a youthful leadership. You could say so. In fact, even the president, the current president.
The presidency.
The presidency, yeah. In fact, I was going to say including the deputy.
No, so
the
when you say presidency, we've... Yes.
They have been called the dynamic duo, youthful leaders, a lot of excitement. Oh, now there's generational change. Yeah, there was a bit of that.
And have they lived up to the expectations that the youth had?
It's rather unfortunate that no. No, because in the essence that we've had ministries even that are supposed to represent the youth.
Yeah.
You have seen the occupants of those offices. They are not youthful, leave alone being youth. They are not youthful at all. Yeah, and one of the radical things I am proposing, if I'm elected to the Senate, is to enact a law to have a standalone ministry for the youth. It is a huge population in this country, and this ministry has to be led by a youth.
Okay. So what I hear you saying is that in order to lead youth, one, in order to bring about matters that affect youth, two, in order to really understand the youth agenda, three, you need somebody youthful in that position to do it. And somebody who is older then is not able to handle those matters. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Granted, the youth come from homes that have their fathers, their mothers, they're elderly. Yeah, but the issues, the wearer of the shoe is the one who knows where it pinches the most.
I'm in agreement with you.
Yes, yeah.
I'm in agreement with you because it is, you can be as understanding as you like.
Yes.
But if you are not in that category of people we refer to as the youth, there are things you will not understand about that demographic. It doesn't matter how hard you try.
Yes.
You will not. You may understand it academically,
but
you will not be immersed in it.
That's correct.
This is the wearer of the shoe.
Knows where it pinches. Yeah.
Exactly. And the wearer of the shoe here is the youth. So I'm in agreement with you.
Yes.
How do you think the youth agenda, because look, I think for the last 20 years or so, again, this is the currency that many would-be leaders have used to pay for support from the said youth themselves or from people around the country to make it seem as though they have a holistic view towards leadership, which then includes everybody, like you've mentioned, women, children, youth, you know, development agenda, etc., etc. So it sounds sexy when you say that we're involving the youth, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, how do you think in the past that leaders who thought they would have the youth agenda on their radar have failed? How do you think they failed? Because I often say, in order to know where you're going, you must know where you've come from. In order to do better, you must know where you have failed. So if somebody wants to come in and take in the position of senator, from a youthful perspective, how have your predecessors failed? And not just in Nairobi, around the country. How have they not been up to scratch?
My predecessors, the youthful leaders,
or even those who are
the
not
old
so
ones
youthful,
who have been representing the youth.
Yes.
Yeah, as I've indicated, the wearer of the shoe is the one that knows where it pinches the most. It could have led to better outcomes if the youth participated. There's assumptions. Yeah, like you said, you can understand academically.
Yes.
Yeah, in principle, like this is what the youth expect and all that. But if they are not on the table telling you A, B, C, D, then you cannot go very far, especially in the society where we live in. Let me now talk about where I come from, my rural home. It is very rare, extremely rare, to find even a youthful politician ascending to power.
Is it okay to ask where you come from?
It's all right. I mean, I'm not shy from saying where I come from. I come from Kisii County. And we have, you can say Simbarati is the first youthful politician who is likely to ascend to a meaningful post, who has a chance to ascend to a meaningful post in Gusii politics. Everybody else, look at Sam Mongeri, another contender who is likely to become governor there. Look at Ongwae and the rest, Nyachai, the late. That's the caliber of leaders that part of society recognizes.
What about the members of parliament?
Members of parliament is the same story.
Not really.
Same story, only except for a very few.
Yes.
Yes, like 2 or 3. But the rest,
Because if I look at someone like Richard Onyonka
is 60. 60 is not youth. He might be looking young.
When did he start?
Yeah.
When did he start?
He's been around a few years.
Three-term MP.
Yeah, maybe
He's been
it was
an MP
45.
for 15 years.
Yes.
45, yeah. So roughly 45. At 45, that's the first time he got his foot into parliament. Yes, it's slightly. You see the same point. 45 is not very close to where our definition.
It's just 10 years
is.
above 35.
Yes.
Sure, but then that
Fair
question
enough,
is that question is really, just before we go to a break, is how have they failed? Because it is upon that.
Yes.
Then you now say, I don't want to make the same mistakes. Because what CT might be alluding to is that, you can get into that position, youthful or not.
Yes.
And you find that you make the very same mistakes, and maybe even to a worsening degree.
All right.
So to have an understanding of where they may have gone wrong might be even more important than the age.
Okay. Let me now directly feed in onto that, the question. I am within the bracket that you are defining.
As youth.
Yeah. Now going to the upper now. I'm now starting to exit that bracket. Yeah. But while I was in that bracket, squarely, we are not involved. Like nobody comes to you and says, hey, young man, we have a convention. Let us look at the issues which are affecting us in the city. For example, we have had Sakaja. The current senator, the outgoing senator for Nairobi, he is a youth, by all definitions. But how much has he pushed the youth agenda? You realize if you look at him as a person, and I don't want to go into personalities, but he's an example. He cannot run away from this. He has gone into playing party politics mostly, and pushing agenda that is not necessarily youth agenda. So for you to represent the youth fully, you have to listen to them. You have to bring them to the table. You have to have them participate. There's this thing which we call public participation. It's a topic for another day, which we do not, we, like today, we can never be sure this is public. There has been public participation or not on a given issue because we haven't set the parameters. But then the youth have to be brought on board. Issues which affect them directly, unemployment, the issue of idleness, drug abuse, they need to be given hope. So you have to look at all these issues holistically, and you have to bring them to the table, to the center.
So you feel that those issues have been met with failure?
Yes,
previously.
failure, total failure, because the youth are not being given an opportunity to participate and even to air their views. So we are looked at as a people who sit at the corner there. Big men and women are on the table deciding for you. Just wait a little bit.
We'll tell you what to do.
It will tell you what to do.
It's 7:30. We're talking with engineer John OCHOTI, who wants to be the Nairobi senator, hopefully going into the ballot this year and having those discussions. We're going to talk about zoning when we come back and see how they may have affected you, looking at what you want to do and how that particular zoning under this, coalition that you are in now, and how that happened, and go into more about that into the conversation.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
We continue our conversation this morning with I was going to say Reverend, or we could make it Reverend, Engineer John OCHOTI.
At some point, I had dreams of becoming a
Reverend.
Well,
yes,
I guess I wasn't too far off.
You're not far off.
Voila. Okay.
I want to take the good engineer down memory lane. I want to take him to a time that he probably wasn't born. 1978. Now, 1978 was an interesting period in this country because the first president of the country had just died and Daniel Arap Moi became president. Now, the clamor for multi-party democracy people speak about had begun earlier, but at this particular point in time, there were a group of young men and women who were agitating for change.
Yes.
Now, the then Minister for Constitutional Affairs, a gentleman by the name of Charles Njonjo, the late Charles Njonjo, called these people the seven bearded sisters. Well, they were not all, they were all men with the exception of Chelagat Mutai.
That was derogatory, right?
Yes, it was derogatory. But the reference point was 7 mighty oil companies, mostly in the US, who used their might to actually make changes in the third world. They even sponsored coup, as it was alleged then. It was a book
Regime
written by...
changes.
Yeah, exactly. There's a book that was written by somebody called Samson, who was a Sam with a P, so not Samson, who wrote a book on these. And the title of that book was The Seven Sisters. So there were 7 oil companies. Now, the average age of these people was just around your age. There were people like 29.
That time, yeah.
James Orengo, who is now around 77 years old, if you do the maths, it is 48 years ago. The guy was 29 years old. Okay?
Very young, pretty young.
So what I'm trying to say is this. How is it that many young people we talk to talk about the youth agenda, but you do not see, at least I do not see, young people coalescing like these people did to push an agenda, yes, so that it is not one person talking about the youth, another about the youth. It is a group of young people whom you can identify as youthful leaders pushing the youth agenda. How come we don't see this?
It's something I've thought about, and what I've come to realize is what brings people together. For us to be very effective, you have to remove the factors which make people tend to coalesce together. Today in politics, people mobilize along ethnic lines. Yeah, these days people coalesce around people with money, with mullah, people who can pay for stuff. Yeah, people who have money and influence and all that. So you would find that young people pairing with older generations because they have something in common, because they engage in certain business, they belong to a certain club, or they belong to a certain ethnic persuasion. I think it's over time our society is degenerated. We no longer look at fighting for ideals, fighting for what we believe is a cause that is worth fighting for. Right now, you find a lot of young people. They would tell you, "Me, I'm Kenya Kwanza." Yeah, that's how they speak. I'm quoting like, "Me, I am Kenya Kwanza." Never mind the language there. Me, I'm Azimio. Yeah. Then you ask them why Azimio and all that. There's no other reason that makes them to come together, rally together, and fight for a cause. And this is what I'm trying to change. In my politics, I'm trying to change that.
You make a valid point.
Yes, yeah.
Because then it was easy to coalesce against this one party called KANU.
Yes.
But now there's so many more.
So many more.
But does that mean then that we kill the youth agenda simply because young people are aspiring to be old men?
Well, look, another question that will be connected with that is we saw a lot of zoning happening.
Yes.
The coalitions that came together, many parties coming together, that inadvertently meant that some people would be locked out when it came to the positions that they wanted to seek. Now, it didn't matter whether you were young or old.
Yes.
If you were in a party that was then under the umbrella of a coalition, that the possibility of you being locked out because of the zoning then became very real. But then we also saw, or we see, that there is the, shall I call it, encouragement of younger people within the zoning matrix to put aside their ambitions for leadership for the benefit of the older people. Has this affected you? Did it affect you? Did you see it affect your colleagues? And what do you think about that?
Yes, I was affected in the sense that it derailed my campaigns. Within Azimio, in Nairobi, for example, remember, one morning, it's a morning or an afternoon, we were all chilling. We were just chilling. Then we saw on TV, newsflash, Baba is at KICC. And he's in the presence of Tim Wanyonyi. Kaloki was there. Igade was there. Ngatia was there. Musyoka was there. Edwin Sifuna was there. And Pasaris. I remember. And that's all the people that were there.
Yeah.
And then Baba said, we have a lineup for Nairobi. With all due respect to the captain of the Azimio coalition, that was premature, extremely premature, because other parties, we were in the process of doing our nominations. yeah, for the same positions within Nairobi. That is why today I have a certificate. That's why today I am on the ballot. It means I wasn't zoned out. So there was a miscommunication, misinformation, and that affected me in campaigns. Initially when I could go to the neighborhoods campaigning, I could hear people saying, but there was zoning, and we know so-and-so is our candidate as Azimio. So I've had to explain, no, it did not affect us because now I'm cleared, I'm running. So I was personally affected. But then over time, we were able to debunk that and then level the playing field for our campaigns. Though it's not still very, very, very leveled, very much leveled, but we have been able to try to come out of that kind of setback. How it affected other people, I can say for both sides, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, these are the main coalitions. Both made attempts to do zoning. And I'm choosing my words carefully. Those were just attempts to do zoning. We have had botched elections before. You could also say these were botched zoning attempts. Yeah. We ended up having very unpopular candidates on the tickets, some of the tickets. Ideally, zoning is a good thing, where you can sit down at a round table like this, say, this particular candidate, you are stronger here. And even if you are stronger here as a party, we are saying we are a coalition of 26 parties, which is, a huge number of members of our party. Then how many seats is ODM getting, for example?
Right. How
many seats is Wiper getting, for example? How many seats is KANU getting, for example? Yeah, all these things were not considered. And that's why there was a mass failure in the attempt to do zoning. Yeah, look at Nairobi, for example. We have the governor candidate for Azimio. He comes from Jubilee Party. Deputy comes from Wiper. And we all remember how Wiper really pushed Kaloki, how Musyoka fought for Kaloki to have that slot. Then we have Pasaris, women rep, ODM. We have Edwin Sifuna, ODM. Not forgetting Raila Odinga himself, ODM. So then now you look at that, yeah, you see unfairness, yeah, and I'm not mincing my words. There's a lot of unfairness because other parties were not listened to. And in fact, that morning or that time, I talked to my party leader, the Honorable Gideon Kipsile, and asked him, I've seen an announcement on TV that we have a lineup for Nairobi. So why didn't you feed me up on this? I mean, were you aware? Then he said, no, I have not been consulted. Then I asked, what do we do? No, we proceed. We're on the race, yeah, to the end. You see now, these are the intrigues which bedeviled the zoning attempts.
How good is your Kiswahili?
Kiswahili yangu si mbaya. Naweza kuongea Kiswahili ya mtaa.
Alright. Mwenye nguvu
darasani mnampisha.
Bas.
Yes. that one is arguable, and we are not very far from Tuesday. Tuesday, we are going to cast our ballots. Indeed. Right? Yeah. And they are going to be counted.
You know the reason why I mentioned this, huh?
Yes.
And the reason why I brought in 1978, huh? Yeah. If you look at the group of people who are referred to as the Seven Sisters, they came from all over the country. There was Abuya.
Yeah, I remember.
Comes from Kisii.
Bad name, yes.
Yes, Georgia Nyona. I'm starting with people who come from the neck of the woods, okay? There was a guy called Onyango Midika. Now, that guy was actually MP in where I come from, all right? There was Moshengu wa Machofi, okay? Taita. There was James Orengo. There was Lawrence Sifuna, okay? There was Chibule Watsuma. Now, that is Griama, okay? There was Koigi wa Mwere, all right? Now, Chalagat Mutai. And then there was a Siken Dombi. What I'm trying to say is, there was a national image that you saw with this grouping.
Yes.
I'm pushing this agenda because even if people are in different parties, the fact that you're talking of coalitions means people can coalesce.
Yes, that is
people
true.
Can talk. Why aren't the youth coalescing? The parties have shown that it can be done. Why, if you have the same agenda, because youthful leaders from all the parties that we have more or less say the same thing. Why can't they coalesce
Or
as youth?
Or is the
In
personal
fact-
is the personal agenda, and that's the thing when we look at youth coming together to say let's put forth this unified agenda. Is the personal agenda then taking a higher priority than a collective agenda to solve these problems? Because it cannot be that every youthful want to be leader has said the same thing, that we want to create jobs for the youth, we want to clean up the cities where we want representation, we want to make sure that youth are not getting into these harmful vices of drugs and alcohol. We want to, it can't be that everybody is saying the same thing but does not see the benefit of coming together to lead.
Engineer, think
In
for a
fact-
single second. If such an organization or such a coalition belong to your party, if you may,
Yes.
but it's there for this agenda, do you know the optics that the youth will receive? Do you know the impact that you will have created in the minds of the youth? They will say, so there is hope here.
Yes.
Our people have gotten together. But so long as you're a lone voice within a party whose hierarchy is full of old men like myself, if not older, how far do you think that message of yours is going
In
to go?
fact, now let me now point out a positive picture, because I'm seeing now it's going much to the negative side. It's not all gloom. There's a
hope.
lot. There's a lot of hope
Tell us about the
that is
light.
happening. In fact, my party, Kanu Party, for example, if you look at the candidates who are running for MCA, some of them are running for MP. Yeah. And the other day we had a debate for MPs, MP candidates, Langata constituency. You saw Osman there, Abdullahi. He's a young man.
Yes.
Yeah, and he did very well in the debate. You know, he's from Kanu Party. Myself, I'm from Kanu Party, and I've been given a chance to run for Senate, Nairobi. Nairobi, you know, is a hub, not just in Kenya. It's the regional hub.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's how seriously the grand old party, the Independence Party, is taking the youth agenda.
What's your
and
personal
a
agenda?
lot of. Let me just finish on
Yes,
the
yes.
same train of thought, and a lot other candidates, including people living with disabilities. Yeah, that is from the Kanu Party. Crossing over within the coalition, Jubilee, we have young people, Amos Mwago, running to become MP in Starehe, you know, and a whole lot of other people from UDA. We have the likes of Simon Bogwa, who are youthful.
Engineer, I agree with you.
Yes. So there's a lot happening. And again, back to the zoning, how it affected the youth. We all remember what has been happening at Mathare to Bahati. Bahati Mheshimiwa sasa, the musician. He was cleared by Jubilee Party to run for the Mathare MP seat. But then people who, let me say the Kiswahili word, wako na kasumba ya zoning. Like it is ingrained in their head. They think zoning is the best thing to have ever happened after.
It's their political reality.
It's their political, yeah. Now, they are pushing to their advantage, you see. You see the people who are pushing Bahati out of the race. It's Oluoch and it's Sifuna. Those two people. Yeah, so
Let me ask you something, Engineer.
let me finish my point, then you can ask me
Yes.
kindly. Yeah, so Bahati, on one hand, now we talk. When it comes to that point, Bahati reaches out, he talks to me. What do you think? What's happening? I tell him, stay on the race. I speak to other people in Makadara constituency, for example, where the zoning thing is being forced. Remember, we have candidates being cleared. We have Jubilee candidates in Makadara constituency. We have Wiper candidates in Makadara constituency. We have ODM, yeah? So this zoning myth, it's a myth actually, being propelled by a few people who think it's an advantage to them. And most of the people who have been affected by the zoning are youthful or the younger generation. So, and we have coalesced. And the other people who are
Actually,
pushed out,
You haven't.
we have. And I'm telling you,
And I'm telling you, you haven't.
or maybe in a way that you may have wanted to see it.
No.
But in the background,
The
let
fact
me
that
tell you what's
someone
happening.
calls you and you chat to them, you're not coalescing, you're
No,
having
no.
a chat.
No. Let me tell you, this one goes down to the grassroots. There's a lot of people who went to independence. We have Janganya in Embakasi South, and a lot of other people. We have Jeremiah in Dagoretti North. These are young people. We have Moshene. Moshene is running in Dagoretti South. All these people, we are talking and we are organizing politically, and that is why On the 10th, that is Wednesday, when results start streaming in, people will be shocked. We are mobilizing. We are mobilizing so that we get to these positions. Yeah, so people will be shocked.
It would
That's
be
why I'm
interesting to
saying
see
we are coalescing.
Even with the
Yes.
even with the coalition that you speak of.
Yeah.
What is your personal agenda? What do you stand for?
the youth.
The people of Nairobi would say,
Okay.
be our senator.
All right, nice. Now this is the time where we sell our agenda, Sarah. Yeah. Now I have a 5-point agenda that I'm focusing on. It could be expanded to about 8 points, but let me focus on the 5. Number 1, predictably, I'm talking about the youth, the women, and the people living with disabilities. That is how I drafted my agenda at the start of the campaigns. And when I went around the city campaigning, another agenda was added on to that, my number 1 agenda, single mothers. Because I was told there's a group which is being neglected. This is a group that needs to be given special attention as the other 3 that I mentioned. The agenda I have for them is to have them fully participate in economic empowerment programs, being informed, being exposed to opportunities that even the Constitution guarantees and the law. For example, 30% of government procurement opportunities are set aside for this special group of people. Yeah, so I'm saying I'm expanding to include single mothers into this. And possibly we can even now say, let us set aside 40% or 35%. And not just setting aside. This law has been there, but it's not being executed as required. You find that, again, it is the rich people, it is the well-connected people who come and morph themselves into youth. They morph themselves into people with disabilities. Yeah. Then they get those certificates. Then they do business with government. So my part is to first educate, inform, and lobby, and push hard for this lot to be empowered economically. Right. Then number 2 is the issue of water distribution. At this time, there should be water available to all households. Sometimes they say that my manifesto sounds like that of a governor. My role as a senator, I understand, is representation first. And when you're representing on all issues, on education, on health, on everything. So regarding water, we need to have solutions. My work is to lobby. Like today, Nairobi Water, I've had a chance to sit down with them to understand the water problem in the city. Yeah. It is the manual process of like even rationing the water and the distribution to the end user or end consumer. We have not expanded the infrastructure. So if these things, if we legislate, if we set aside funds to focus on distributing water and automating, then this helps.
I have to get you to 3, 4, and 5 in about a minute.
Oh, fine.
Yes.
On number 4 is on education.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elimu is very important. I am here because of that ticket I got, is to ensure that if bursaries are being issued, there is transparency, there is enough being set aside, mentorship programs for the youth, sponsorships and everything, scholarships and all that. In healthcare, we need to set resources, push more money, more cash to having enough health facilities closer to us and equipping these facilities, having drugs and all that, etc. And lastly, sports. For sports, we need to. Sports is a paying thing. And creative arts is something I'm very passionate about. In fact, already I have adopted a team, Kibagare Sportif. It's a slum area, Kitisuru in Westlands. In fact, I'm sponsoring them. I've been sponsoring matches, boxing matches, encouraging the youth so that they can, know that they can engage in productive sporting activities. Yes, and so all that,
I mean, very quickly, in about 5 seconds then.
Yes.
What happens if then you're not selected for this position? What would you then do with this still ripe ambition? Really quickly.
In fact, it's something I've thought about. I'm in the process of registering a foundation, John OCHOTI Foundation, and I will address some of these issues under that umbrella.
Yes.
I'll still continue to lobby, but then I don't believe I'm going to lose.
Well,
come Wednesday, I will be the senator for Nairobi, God willing.
It'll be good
Inshallah.
to see you. Engineer John OCHOTI, who is
you.
a Nairobi senatorial candidate, with us this morning on Kenya's Biggest Conversation. We wish you all the best and thank you
for
being
much
and discussing these issues
for having me
with us this morning.
Yes.